is it's bringing us out of the world, the poly crisis, the meaning crisis. All of this is too much. I can't handle it, or I'm not interested. I can't. To here's how I come back to regulation a little bit, so that not only I have some resilience and some capacity to live my life, to enjoy my relationships, to explore my passions, and to do things that are meaningful to me, but I also have the ability to participate within society in the sense of not, it's all too much and I just want to run away. Or it's all too much and there's too many enemies out there, I need to go fight them, right? Because that's kind of what's emerging a lot here, is everybody out there is dangerous and everybody's fighting with each other, hence polarization. Or the other predominant state, so that would come from sympathetic. The other predominant state is, oh, it's all just too much. It's not important. I'm going to leave. I'm going to go away from everything. I'm going to live on a mountain alone by myself. I don't want to hear about anything, and that's more of the shutdown. It's all too much, right? And again, these are correct responses based on that state, but neither of those states are ventrally connected, where we feel good, we feel grounded, we feel in a sense of creativity, in a sense of connection, where there is safety, there is hope, there is ability to change, we're not trying to fight the world, we're trying to get back into flow with the world and allow the world to flow from a place of emergent solution versus a place of forcing solution and forcing our agenda on other people. And these people are wrong, we need to force them, right? That's the sympathetic fight-flight energy. Versus the other times where it's like, nah, nothing's possible. Nothing will ever change anyway. That's your shutdown energy, right? So there's different ways that we see the world and we see problems based on how we're feeling predominantly inside. And so what can also happen is we can get stuck in the vortexes of, if we're watching the news, if we're listening, having a conversation, if we're, feeling overwhelmed with social media or whatever, and we start to notice, oh my God, the world is going to shit, right? Maybe that's a feeling that we have, or the world is too difficult, or these people are so lost, or all these people, and we start getting into those modes. What happens is we can also get into vortexes of endless loops of thoughts related to what's happening out there and then how we're feeling about it. So if we're sympathetically charged, we might look at all these things out there like, oh my God, I'm trying to fix things. All right, we need to fix things. We need to fix this now. We need to come up with a solution now. It needs to happen now. And yet these things are so big. These things are massive aspects of our world and we don't know how to fix them. And so here we are in sympathetic energy, we start tunneling our focus. And as we tunnel our focus, because that's the correct response of our sympathetic nervous system coming on, we're now tunneled onto this apparent danger that we're seeing out in the world, but it's too big for us to solve. So if we can't solve it, how does the body come down, right? It doesn't come down. It's too difficult. So this is where we have to watch as we start to understand the state of our nervous system and how it's perceiving the world. We have to be careful of the vortex now of the doom scrolling, of moving from one dramatic thing to another dramatic thing to another dramatic thing to another dramatic thing, because that is what the mind starts to do when it's sympathetically oriented. It goes from one, oh my God, this is happening, to, well, what else is happening? Because I'm in a bias for looking for more of that because it believes that it's in a sense of danger. So it just keeps looking at all this bad news over and over and over again. So when I hear people all the time that say, oh, the news is all negative, I go, well, yeah, you're probably sympathetically oriented and you're only seeing negative news. You don't see all the good things. And it's not the news's fault. Sometimes it is. But it's also just the way that we're now tunneling our perspective to only be oriented and focused on that, because that is the correct response from that state. So in this sense, you can also say, and this is why we've always tried to interrupt this with our work, we're trying to interrupt by saying, stop, take a breath, notice yourself, notice your body. We're trying to interrupt the mindlessness that we bring to watching news, watching media, where we're not paying attention to our body, how we feel, where it's very easy to become tunnel visioned, or it's very easy to become hopeless, right? That's another thing we'll break down in a second. So through the approach that we're taking, we're trying to keep us more grounded, where we have more option of seeing, empathizing, being curious, right? We're trying to create a greater sense of opening through the way we approach things so that we can become a little bit more, okay, I feel, I can see, I can explore different options, I sense and feel different options, right? Versus tunnel vision, I'm making you terrified, I'm making you afraid, the world is falling down, right? Or the opposite side, right? Which is if we're very dorsally oriented, which is that shutdown, that depressed, that meh energy, and that's the way we're seeing news and media, and that's the way we're seeing the world, The vortex stories that can emerge from that are, yeah, we'll never be able to change anything anyway. The elite's too powerful. They'll always be able to do whatever the hell they want. Like the people, we have no power. It's one thing to recognize that, yes, our systems of democracy don't really consider the people. That is true. That is an emergent quality of a system that's built on dysregulation. It's not good for people. It's self-terminating. That's what being in constant survival is it's going to lead us towards self-termination, because a being does not thrive when it's constantly in survival mode. A being thrives when it's calm and regulating and feeling good, right? So our society is moving towards self-termination because it's built on a collective nervous system of self-termination, of survival. And then we're reinforcing that loop over and over again. So what's happening here is we basically have this, if you're in the vortex of nothing can ever change and blah, 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 and the world kind of reinforces that idea and there's no possibility, it starts to feel like, yeah, we don't have the agency. Not only as an individual, but as a collective, we don't have the agency to make our world a better place. And what I mean by that is it's not forcing an agenda on the world. It's coming back to a healthy place, and that what emerges from that healthy place is a healthier world, right? So oftentimes people will say, don't bother trying to change the world. You're going to force your ideas on people. No, that's something I agree with, right? We don't need to force the right thing, quote unquote, onto the world. When we are healthy, when we are in a good place, when we are well regulated, which is something this change starts within, the emergent quality of that is better action.